Yo, what's happening? It is me, your boy, CD Rome, back with another episode of Watch Your Narrative Podcast presents the league. And we are, of course, at a little bit past the halfway point at this point. We got teams that are very well past that. We are past the trade deadline. We've also passed the your free agency as well. So we got a lot to cover, a lot to unpack. It's a lot of things that have occurred since our last episode, outside of the commentary that we did for Texas versus UNC. Great game, by the way. If you have not gotten the opportunity to see it, it was commentated by myself and G Money. So for sure, if you haven't got a chance to go and take a listen, definitely go and watch the game. So before we start, want to pay a few bills here. This episode, of course, is brought to you by Griggs Incorporated. Griggs Incorporated. They sponsored the show, this particular episode. So we want to appreciate the CEO, Greg C Note Griggs, for the sponsorship there, and then also to make sure, if you have not, uh, go and search and find Glizzy G on all platforms. Spotify has some very, very good tracks there. Uh, pardon me now. So either way, go definitely find Glizzy G and go show your support. This episode is also brought to you by uh, a famous author as well, for all the children and the mothers out there. And even if you don't, we all have mothers. Even if we don't have children, we all have mothers, and we don't quite know the things that they particularly go through, especially when it comes to postpartum depression. So, the book that Gabrielle Deloach has written, Mama, Mama, Where's Your Smile? You can find that on every platform, from Walmart.com to Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Wherever you find your books, you can go and find this book. So go and get your missus, your children, your wife, your mom, something special, um, and get your book. They're coming hot off the press. Once again, the book is called Mama, Mama, Where's Your Smile? Thank you. All right, guys. Now that we paid our bills, let's get right into this thing, guys. So we are at the midway point. Let's tackle some announcements first. Let's go to what has been a crazy, crazy, crazy situation. Of course, last time we had an episode, of course, we did talk about Josh being picked up by UNC, forming the you know the Monstars, really. We were trying to figure out, of course, for me, I picked UNC to win it all before the season started. Even after the Josh pickup, I was still picking them as well. Then from there, the Oregon Ducks, they agreed, of course, to release Cognac and pick up Boogie, who was dropped by UNC to pick up Josh. And then from there, it just went absolutely haywire, absolutely crazy. So, of course, sources tell me that Robbie was, of course, being pursued by another player. I don't think any of the captains were involved in this, so no tampering involved. But sources do tell me that you know there was definitely some players that were on the Texas team that were wanting to play with Robbie. So, of course, Robbie playing for Team Oregon, having a pretty solid season individually. Definitely not a slouch here. playing the point guard position for, the first time in quite some time. But from an averaging standpoint, I mean, averaging 15 points a game, 11 assists with only 2 turnovers a game. So I mean, playing really solid ball at the point guard spot, and shooting 52% from the field, struggling a little bit from the three, which that has been, of course, documented. But yet and still, overall, I mean, not terrible numbers at all for your starting point guard. And of course, Oregon right there in the middle of the pack. And hey, listen, if I'm being honest, that was where I predicted they would be. A lot of of course, they didn't care for that. And if I'm just being honest, if we look at the way that things are shaking out, my predictions have been pretty on par so far. I did say Oregon and Texas would be fighting for that 3, 4, 5 spot, and unfortunately, that's where they are. I had Syracuse, Kansas, and North Carolina being, one of the top teams in the league, and they're definitely doing that. So, kudos to those teams. But to stick with Oregon right now, they're 3-6 and lost 2 games since the trade. And I mean, the way this team is constructed, and I got some friends on that side of the Oregon team. I won a championship with Kyle and Will. Matter of fact, I won a championship with Phil as well. And then of course, Boogie, my guy, and Brian being the captain there. So, and solid team. But I'll be honest, I just don't see where they're going to be able to make any. They got 3 games left in the season. At this point, only thing they need to do is just hold off Texas. Just hold off Texas. Try to be 2 games ahead of them if you can be, so that way you can at least get into the playoff. And man, if you get to the playoffs, man, who knows what could happen, in the playoffs, if you get the right opponent in the first round. I mean, JP could catch fire. I mean, we've done it. I've done it, being a 4th seed coming in, and we were able to get all the way to the championship. We just caught fire at the right time. So, man, things like that can for sure happen. But Oregon now, of course, has Phil, and they let go of their starting point guard Robbie for a bag of cupcakes and snacks. And I per se, I did not care for this trade. Did not care for this trade, and really on both sides. As I mentioned before, Texas was looking to get Robbie for themselves to improve in a position that they felt like they could improve on. And how much so, if we're just being, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about it, guys. And like I had some people want to talk about my narratives and everything else, but hey, man, I'm not gonna talk about it unless I got some stone cold evidence, man, by the name of these stats. So, I just read off Robbie's stats, 15 and 11. The person that Texas, if the trade would have happened, we all know James would have been possibly the one being sent off in return for Robbie. So we can kind of take a look at the stats there. And I read off Robbie's stats. James is averaging 9.5 points, 9 assists, and he is shooting. He's struggling from the field, shooting 38% from the field, shooting 24% from three. Of course, Robbie's shooting, you know, even worse than that from the three. But I mean, for the most part, I just looking at the stats, we can say that Robbie's having a bit of a better season than James at this point at that point guard spot. Now, of course, and these stats do have a game where James was not at the point guard spot. Terrence was running the point, so of course those stats could be affected by that. But either way, if we're talking about a slight difference there, but Texas was willing to give up 2 forfeits for Robbie. 2 forfeits. And I talked about this in the last thing, and I know, hey, I know Brian, hey, how long we're gonna talk about it, but hey man, this was a critical move here. At the end, this was a very, very critical move that could have possibly stunned Texas more than what they thought it would have. Because at this point, with them losing last night, if they had those two forfeits, they'll be 2-8 right now. And Oregon, with those two wins, would be 5-6. Think about that. 5-6 with one more game to go. And even if you lose that game and you go 5-7, Oregon, who is now 2-8 with 2 games to go, would literally have to win 2 games to at least two out of 3 of those games to at least. Oh, sorry. Well, actually, they'll have to win both of those games just to get into the play-in. Just to get into the play-in. I just don't know why that trade did not happen. Um, I don't know where this notion about Texas. I don't know what I don't understand captain's concept, and now I'm not just going to talk about Bryant. So, I sources say that the UNC trade was more so of a defensive block by Captain Austin to say, I mean, hey, better Robbie be on my team than Robbie be on Team Texas. And then also for Brian as well, he did not want Robbie going to Team Texas in fear that, hey, this team could be better and now we could possibly, I could possibly help them win a championship. Let's be very clear. Robbie does not fix Texas problems. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. Robbie does not fix Texas problems. So for those who felt like this trade, I need to block Texas, I think we're paying attention to the wrong things here. You make a trade to better your team. You make a trade to make sure that your team is going to win. Because guess what? You got three other guys on that team. Team Oregon now with Will, JP, Kyle. Those are the 3 guys that now have to all of a sudden, okay, well, we just lost Rob, 15 points a game, 11 assists, shooting 50%. Now we just lost that type of player. Now let's figure out we get Phil back, and Phil is more than a serviceable player, but Phil's not playing point guard. Phil is not playing point guard. So you trade your point guard for a power forward, and yes, you got Kyle who can now run point, but hasn't played point this season. This trade did not make sense. The trade did not make sense. And then on Austin's side, the trade did not make sense. You trade away your power forward, who, if I'm, looking at the stats, averaging 6.5 rebounds. Definitely, of course, we're not worried about the points here because that's not what you got him for. When you drafted Phil for a serviceable knockdown shooter that can get you rebounds. That's it. That's all you want out of your power forward. That's literally all a power forward. You're not looking for Phil to average 15 points a game. You're not. And when you got a player like Greg, you got a player like Petty, and now Josh, Phil fits in perfectly because he's a guy that does not need the ball. Yes. Hey, I understand. I've been there. He doesn't need the ball. He's gonna play his role. Is he gonna be happy about it? Probably not. I mean, who would? If you feel like you can do more, and in one of those games they played 8 quarters and he only took 8 shots. 8 shots a quarter. I mean, 1 shot a quarter. So I understand that. But I feel like Austin overthought this year. Now, hey, they win a championship. Hey, I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm wrong. But do I feel that him trading away Phil for Robbie makes them more suitable to beat Syracuse, which is now the best team in the league? I'm sorry, I don't. Who's guarding DeJounte? Josh. All right. Who's Robbie getting on? Robbie's now getting on Johnny. Backdoor cuts anybody? Hmm? Hmm? Anybody want a backdoor? Or is he guarding George? Is he going to be disciplined enough? Hmm? Well, I don't know where this trade now. All right, Austin, you're stepping up on the pick and roll, right? You're stepping up on the pick and roll. Who's your back? Who's your back? Who's covering your back to get the rebound? Huh? It ain't Robbie because you traded away your other rebounder. What, Josh and Greg now? Hey, y'all got to step up the rebounds. Once again, y'all can't be averaging 2 rebounds a game. Matter of fact, under 2 rebounds a game. Looking at it now, 1.7 for Greg, 1 for Josh. Y'all 0.5 for Petty. So if Austin steps out the paint because he needs to step up on the screen, then hey, who's grabbing the rebound? Or hey, all right, well, guess what? You put Austin on Keyshawn. Keyshawn's in the corner. If you drop off him, guess what? Splack of that. That's a 3 ball. I just don't understand the concept of that trade on Austin's end. I think he overthought it. You keep a guy like Phil on that team, serviceable role player that's gonna be okay with taking those 4 shots a game, so I can make sure and do the dirty work that you need, so I can make sure guys like Petty, Josh, Greg, they're gonna get what they need to get to help me get to where I want to get, which is a championship. At the end of the day, we're talking about a championship here. Am I going to be worried about Robbie going to Texas? No, you still got to come and see us. Because me looking at Team Texas here, Team Texas, Cody right now, averaging 11 points a game and, shooting really great, 58% from the field, 52% from the three. Terrence averaging 17 points a game, has definitely improved on his shooting, 62% from the field, 43% from three. And you got Chris, who, man, dominant season, MVP type season. 16 and 13, might as well say 14 rebounds, shooting 62% from the field, 88% from the three. And man, we all seen what Twiz did last night. Twiz had 24 points on 9 of 10 shooting, 6 or 7 from the three. So he's even stepped up his game, and so hey, I understand. You're thinking now, hey, Sid, you're just proving my point because now if you switch Robbie out for James, now they're a better team. They're the worst team in the league, even with those stats. So now you tell me they get Robbie, and now they're going head to head with Syracuse. They jumped over Kansas. Now they're better than Kansas. Now they're better than Oregon. Now they're better than UNC, and they're going head to head with. No, they're not. I'm sorry. Robbie's a really good player. Won a championship with Robbie. That's my guy. But Robbie for James does not take you now from the number 5th seed in the league to now the number 2 seed or the second best team. It doesn't happen that way. If anything, you allow that trade to happen. So those 2 forfeits happen. Now you got one less team to worry about. They're in a hole that they think they can get out of, but man, I'm sorry, they're not getting out of. Not with 2 forfeits, not with this roster, not with the way that they're playing, not with the way, the way that I'm being told that this team internally is having, issues. They've changed lineups already. And of course, at the end of the day, if you're not beating the top teams, then what are you playing for? So we can say, oh yeah, we was the third best team. No, that who cares about that? If you're not beating the UNCs of the world, and you're not at UNC without Josh, and you're not beating Syracuse, then what are you playing for? You have to play the game to be better than the number 1 or number 2 player, number seed. Because my thing is, get me to the finals. Let's duke it out. If we can be the top 2 teams in the league and come up with the correct game plan, the correct adjustments in the finals, it's mano y mano. The biggest difference, and let me I'm gonna jump off of Oregon, but I'm gonna say this last thing. Will, JP, y'all got to go get a bucket. All right, Will and JP, you got to get a bucket. Kyle, I think Kyle is, gonna do his thing. He's figuring this thing out. At this point, the 4th seed is y'all's to lose. You got to beat Texas. You got to win a couple games. Just play the right way. Space the floor. Get your best player, Will, some shots. Get him out on the break. Get JP back out on the break. Get JP the ball. Let him, at this point, get a bucket. Some people go, oh, well, he can't do that. No. He did that before. He played a role, won a championship. That's not the team that he's on right now. You got to go get a bucket. Not bad shots, but good shots. But you got to go get a bucket. Texas, got to figure it out. Why is Cody taking 2 shots? No way Cody takes 2 shots. No way James takes 4 shots. Although Twiz was hitting, right? So Twiz did what he needed to do. Twiz is, hey, I don't think that is your long-term key to success. I just don't see where playoffs run, like where you're going to now be better than those top 2 teams with James only taking 4 shots. And more importantly, your guy that's shooting, plus 50% from 3 in the field, is going to now only take 2 shots a game, and you're going to win. You're not going to be able to hold on to that. You got to find a way, different sets. And also Chris, and I've told Chris this personally, he looks a little bit different with Terrence at the point in which the way Terrence runs the point is a little bit different than James would. So, but Chris is probably the interior-wise the most dominant center in the league currently, and you have to use that. There should be 2 touches a game, or 2 touches a quarter. That's 8 shots, 2 touches a quarter, where we just dump the ball. Forget the pick, no picks. Dump the ball down, put him on the right block. That's his best block. Put him on the right block and let him do whatever he needs to do. We're going to live and die with this shot. If someone helps, you hit the shot. If someone fakes and you get your best cutter, you get your best slasher at the opposite hash, you can get some backdoor cuts, backdoor screens. There's so many things. Free game here, guys. Free game that you could do and just let Chris operate from that spot. And that's not considering the pick and roll, the pick and pop that he's going to do a game. But there need to be 2 touches a quarter. You need to start your quarter, end your quarter with him right there on that block and saying, all right, bro, go get us one. That's how dominant of a season he's having. And listen, I played a season last year with Terrence, and played this and with Chris as well. I'm not gonna say we all know Chris has a dominant personality, but on a roster, Terrence's personality may be even more dominant. Yeah, his personality. I remember saying, like, to Terrence, during, hey, when you come in and you're bubbling, you're laughing, bro, we rock out, we vibe, and we hoop. But when Terrence is like, it's tense because he is a competitor and he wants to win. He really, really wants to win, like we all do. But that tension, some people can take it, some people can't. Now, me, I'm actually a very tense competitor as well. So that's why I think me and Terrence, we had some not eye to eye seeing during the season because we both were honestly trying to win, but the way it comes out while we're in the middle of a battle is very tense. And if you're not ready to take that, then you're not ready to take that. If you're not used to that, then you're probably not going to care for it. But if Terrence vibes out, man, because right now I love what I'm seeing. He's shooting a lot better. I love what I'm seeing at the point guard spot. The offense is flowing better. But defensively, man, Texas, y'all got to get some stops. Y'all got Cody, y'all got James. Like, I don't know what defensive scheme, because it's, hey, listen, when I played with the Suns, I was on ball. But if you're running through screens, I don't care what lock you are. I don't care what lock that you got. If Austin comes and sets a screen on you and Martin is your ball handler and no one steps up, no one moves, guess what Martin is going to have? Martin's going to have 35 to 40 points because you're not going to be able to get through that screen. That's 1-on-2 basketball. So just because somebody is on a lock and you feel like they're great at lock, if you don't have a team defense, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. So they got to fix their team defense. I don't know if they need to put, Twiz on the screen. I don't know. But they got to fix that. They got to figure that out. Because as of right now, time is ticking. And you guys at least need to get into the play-in. Don't just not make the play-in. Don't just be 2 games away from Oregon. That would be terrible, guys. It's way too much talent on that roster to do that. Team Kansas right now, they're in the middle of the pack. Started out very, very hot. I think teams have figured out at this point. Martin has, I think, Martin hasn't had some great performances these last couple games. And me saying that is, once again, not a narrative. Those are just facts. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We got the stats to back it up. I mean, last game against the Oregon Ducks, I mean, they did win 59-55. Martin had 10 points, 2 assists, 4-11 shooting, and they're not going to win with that. Game before that, they got blew out 70-53 by UNC, and that was a UNC that had a reserve, and Martin, 17 points, but shot 6 for 17. So and yes, and there's other people on that team, but I said it before the season started. That team is going to go as far as Martin takes them. Yote is going to do what Yote does. And even that game with UNC, he had, 19 points, 4 assists, 7 for 14 shooting. I need to see a little bit more from the point guard getting, setting the table side of things. And I said that before the season started, that was one thing I was worried about with Yote, is just hadn't played point guard in a while. So how quickly is he going to make the reads? How quickly is he going to see the floor? And that was something that I was a little bit worried about going into the season. But moving from Kansas, the other team, Syracuse, top team in the league, playing the best basketball, started off the season 0-2, and have since then went on a rampage. I remember getting a message from one of the players. that said they really needed some of those pods to kind of spike them up a little bit. They had a team conversation that went the right way. Now you see what on the boat. I left UNC the moment they traded for Robbie. Sorry. But I'm on the boat, man. I think Syracuse is the team to beat. I don't see a team beating them, and this is why. I've been able to play a few runs with Ajante and Keyshawn a little bit more now, and I'm hearing them even in rec. The basketball IQ, man, it's just off the charts. I just can only imagine what the team chat sound like. I know I remember Keyshawn saying he sent some videos to the other players to show them, hey, this is how we want to play. They have a system. The system is, of course, led by Ajante. He makes all the right reads and he does what he needs to do. But when you got a player like Keyshawn getting 5 steals and with 5 blocks and doing everything he is supposed to do, and then you couple that with a team, a player like George, who is, I mean, you talking about just does not have a conscience, will go 1 for 15 and just know that he's going to make, shot 17. So you're talking about a player that you need on your team that won't be gun shy, that will continue to pull, because that's what you need. You need a team you need a player that's going to continue to pull, play great defense. I mean, and Uzi is a bucket. And now the guy's getting rebounds. Last game, as I mentioned before in the commentary, I mean, he had 23 rebounds to Austin's 26. So now he's doing exactly what he needs to be doing as a big while still being a threat to get a bucket. I just don't see, even from an adjustment standpoint, I just don't know if I think UNC got a lot of high basketball IQ players on their team as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments they make. They are the ones that I feel have the fighting chance to beat this team. But you're not going to beat this team by not practicing. If you guys are not devoted to locking in, not just practicing, but having a plan. I played with the Suns, and I'm just going to say it. Like, we went into practices and just played, and then sometimes we would run sets and when the playoffs got there, I asked the question. I said, so, all right, guys, what's our game plan? And somebody told me, well, to win, to lock in, to get back on defense. These are basic things. Duh, I know that. But what is really the game plan? Which way are we forcing this guy through this screen? Because when we played, one of the reasons why the team was able, on my team, the Bad Boys, MMA, we were able to win, it's because we had a whole game plan on every individual player. And if you're not willing to lock down to every detail, then you're not going to beat Syracuse, because guess what? They're locked into every detail. They're going to play you a certain way. They're going to guard you a certain way. They're going to take something away from you, and you have to figure out how to make it work. And if you're not willing to lock in and do that, you just want to tell somebody to backdoor cut, then you're going to lose. And right now I'm on the bandwagon with these guys. I would be anxious to see. I love the way the season started out. It's very balanced, but some things have happened. And people have made trades and done things to make it imbalanced. And now we can see, and now we also see the separation of IQ. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, man. I know guys, they don't like it. They're gonna post a donut, a glazed donut, once I say this. But I'm gonna be honest, man. If y'all allow Ajante to win another championship with the way this season started, with the way everything has happened, and the way that UNC has been able to really soup up this roster the way they wanted to with Josh and now Robbie, I don't want to hear nobody else say that you can say you're one of them, but you're not one of one. Because if this guy wins, that guy may be one of one. One of one. And I know a lot of y'all ain't gonna like to hear that because this is not the competitor said speaking, this is the analyst. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. You give him a roster, he figures it out, and if he wins a title this season, you know, hey, once again, the list is fluid. The list is fluid. Things can change. But as of right now, who else? Bring your resume and say who else. Bring me your resume and we can argue about it. Because otherwise, everybody now has a fair chance. Hey, Robbie, you got your chance. Austin, you got your chance. Greg, you all have your chance. Kansas, Martin, yo, you guys have your chance. But if you guys allow a Junte to come in here and win another one, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? And I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Once again, this episode was brought to you by Greg's Incorporated. Thank you for the sponsorship, my brother. And I look forward to the rest of the season, just like everyone else. I'm anxious to see what happens. Cannot wait to see what happens. But yo, it's your boy. Make sure you go and support the wife, Gabrielle Deloach, author of the year, future author of the year, and purchase the book, Mama, Mama, Where's Your Smile? And with that, guys, watch your narrative. We're out.